Om Stapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharmaswarupine avatara varishtaya Ramakrishnaya te namaha Sruti smriti purananam alayam karunalayam namami bhagavad padam shankaram loka shankaram shankaram shankaracharyam keshavam badarayanam Sutra bhashya krudau vande bhagavantu punah punaha. So we are continuing our discussion on Antaradhikaranam, and hopefully today we will finish that. So I will again recapitulate the background of this Adhikaranam. So every Adhikaranam has got a specific Vishaya, a text under discussion, a Samshaya, a doubt, Purvapaksha, a prima facie view, and Siddhanta. And also Yogi, that the connection between the current Adhikaranam with the previous one, called Sangati, or connectedness, interconnectedness. So remember, there was a short interval, so that's why I'm trying to remind you about the text of this particular Adhikaranam, the central theme. It comes in, I think, Chandogya, first chapter 6th, verse 6-7. The well-known text is quoted in the Bhashya itself. Adaya eshondaraditya hiranmaya purusho drishyade hiranyasmasruhu hiranyakeshaha aprakhna sarva eva suvarnaha tasyedha kapyasam pundarigame tasya udit iti nama sa esha sarvebhya papmabhya uditaha udidika vai sarvebhya papmabhyo ya evam veda. This is the text under discussion. So that should be kept in mind. Now, just a background. First of all, the text presents before you a very picturesque structure, a kind of anthropomorphic person, a golden person, Hiranyaya Purusha. So there is a lot of anthropomorphic description here. A golden beard, Hiranyakeshaha, that is golden hair, Hiranyasmasruhu, golden beard, Hiranyakesha, golden hair, and then lotus-like eyes, Puntarigamiva Akshini, and specific location, etc. Aditya and Akshini, Aditya and Akshini. So this is the central text. So now, what is the topic of discussion? Who is this person? Is this merely a presiding deity, a cosmic jiva, a samsari, or Brahman, or Paramatma, or Parameshwara? This is the subject. So the Purvapakshin is of the view that this may not be Brahman. It could be a samsari jiva. Any spiritual seeker who has practiced a lot of yoga, sadhanas, anima, garima, laghima, mahima, ishittum, vasittum, all these yoga vibhudis, and then a lot of yajnas and yagas, and as a result of all these virtuous deeds and rituals, he has reached a very high celestial position. But still, he has to come back when his punyas get exhausted. Kshine punya martilogam vishanti. So, he is only a cosmic samsari jiva, or Aditya Purusha, a solar deity, presiding over solar deity, with some limited powers, some restrictions, but certainly not the omniscient, the all-pervading Brahman in its saguna dimension, that is Parameshwara. No, it is some kind of a samsari jiva. This is the view of the Purvapakshi. And what is the argument? The argument, he says that it is local, Aditya Akshini. He is residing in the Aditya Mandala and also in the Akshini. At the Adidevata level, in Aditya, the transcendental cosmic level, Aditya, at the Adhyatma level, Akshini. So, it has a form, Hiranyasmasruhu, Hiranyakeshaha, etc. So, a form and also certain, very anthropomorphic aspects of this personality. Again, he certainly has got some powers and vibhutis, but there's a limit, madhyada, limited lordship. These are the arguments of the Purvapakshis. Shankara Siddhanta is different. Shankara says, Tad Dharmopadeshat. Because in this description, though apparently it is a kind of anthropomorphic upasya devata, or we may call it some kind of a yogi who has reached, you have heard of yogis who, as a result of their lot of spiritual practices, they become very powerful, they get some celestial powers. So, they appear to be so, but actually, in reality, there are Brahman's attributes involved here. Dharmopadeshat. First of all, Abhagata Patma. The text tells you that Hiranyamaya Purusha, he is devoid of any papas. It means also devoid of punyas. He transcends all this. Again, Sarvatmagatum, he is universal. The text will tell you in today's discussion, will tell you the cosmic dimension in connection to Rik, Sama, Yajur, Brahma, etc. And that is for Vedas, Then it is the supreme object of worship. So Shankaracharya says, the Rupa and all these limiting features are there, but they are all absolute features. Sinlessness, Apakata Patmatvam, Sarvatmagatum, universality and supremacy. All these are very, very important. So Shankaracharya says, of course it is the localization is there. Brahman is all pervasive. Yet that Brahman can also become an upasya devata. In the upasya, not devata, but upasya dimension of Brahman. That is Saguna Brahman. Saguna Savishesha Sakara. Very similar to Ramanujacharya's idea of an omniscient God who is an embodiment of all auspicious qualities. All these you find more or less, less or more, in the Vaishnava Vedanta teachings of Ramanuja, Madhva, Vallabha, Nimbarka and Chaitanya. All non-Advaitic Vedanta schools. Again, not identical, not entirely similar, but there are certainly similarity in the description of the the monotheistic Godhead, anthropomorphic, omniscient, all compassionate, all wise God idea. So Bhashyakara says it is perfectly okay. The same Nirguna, Niragara, Nirvishesha Brahman can also be Upasya. So the highest idea of Brahman is Ashabdam, Marupam, etc. It is beyond Vacha, Magocharam, etc. But that is Jnaya Vastu. So you will understand what I am saying only when you keep in mind some of the teachings of the fifth Adhikarana and sixth Adhikarana, where we Bhashyakara say Dirubam Brahma, Brahman can be twofold. The Upasya Brahman, which is Saguna, Sakara, Savishesha, with all characteristics, and then Jnaya, that Brahman which is beyond, which is devoid of names and forms and all this. So it is true that the same Brahman can be Upasya, but all Upasya concept is only for the benefit of those who are not yet ready for understanding the Jnaya concept, the Nirguna, Niragara, Nirvishesha aspect. So for them, they need a form and they need certain characteristics, they need some qualities. For that, the same Nirguna Brahman can also be approached as a Upasya Brahman, Saguna Sagara Savishesha Brahman. This is Shankaracharya's view. In other words, this in this particular under Adhikarana, that is Aditya Purusha and Akshini Purusha, signifies Parameshwara, Paramatma, which is Upasya aspect of Brahman. This is the short description which I already mentioned here. Now we'll come to the text proper. You have to keep the text in mind, otherwise you won't be able to follow, remember things. Better to be busy with this somewhat boring description of a higher philosophy than giving the mind to less desirable things, So after all, do you understand that the sanctity and the sacredness, it was this text you studied, that preserved Advaita for the last 1300 years. Without that, nothing would have remained. So, try to look at the text in your hand. At least I know some of you do have text. I frequently found it during conversations. Okay, now, you can say, Evam prapte brumah, antaha tadharmopadeshat iti. So, Bhashyakara is beginning his defense. Ya eshundra aditye, ya eshundra akshini. Idi suyamanaha. This is the Vedic statement. He calls Sutrartha Varnanam Siddhanta. The Sutra is being described and expounded. So, Andasta Dharmopadeshat. What does it mean? Antaha Akshi Adityohu Antaha. That is the description. Antaha means inside. Akshi Adityohu Antaha. Located within or inside Aditya Mandala, Aditya at the Adidevata level and Akshini at the Adhyatma level. Eshundra Aditya, Eshundra Akshini iti Suyamanaha. Purushaka Parameshwara eva na samsari. It is Parameshwara, Paramatma, it is not samsari. Kutaha, tad dharmopadeshat. Certain characteristics of this Parameshwara are implied, very clearly implied here. Tasyahi Parameshwarasya dharma iha upadishtaha. So that Parameshwara dharma's characteristics are being expounded here. Tadyatha tasya udit iti nama iti sravayitva asya aditya purusasya nama sa esha sarvebhya papmebhya uditaka iti sarva papma apagamena nirvakti. So tadyatha tasya udit. Ut means transcending, going beyond not only papa but also punya. If it is somebody who has only transcended, gone beyond papa, then it could be a yogi, a samsari. People who do meditation, people who do a lot of rituals, lot of punya karmas, they also will go beyond papa. But they will not go beyond punya. Because if you have a lot of punya in your account, in your karma account, then you have to enjoy the results of those punyas. If those punyas are accumulated as a result of sakama karma. Otherwise punya will not be there. You transit both. So one is this, tadyatha tasya uditi nama. It is Sravayitva. The Suti makes the statement. Asya Aditya Purusasya Nama. Esa esha sarvebhya papmebhya uditaha. That Aditya Purusha has gone beyond all papas. Through Ubalakshana. Ubalakshana means when something is stated. Through Ubalakshana, by implication, by indication, something else also may be implied. Sokagebhyo diti rakshadam. All these examples are there in the standard introductory works on Indian philosophy. Somebody tells you that you should protect the dati from crows. It also means you have to protect it from all other wild animals, cats and dogs also, which may also spoil the deity. So you should protect. The implication is there. If is one of the Panchajnanendriyas are mentioned, Srotrendriya, it also could include Netrendriya, Sravanendriya, Tvagindriya, Rasanendriya, or Granendriya, all also can be included through Balakshana. So through Balakshana, this Purusha transcends not only Pava but also Punya. Tadeva cha krita nirvachanam nama akshipurusasyapi adidishati. So, whatever is stated in relation to Aditya Purusha, all those characteristics are also implied or superimposed in relation to Akshipurusha. So, Aditya Purusha at the Adhidevata level, Akshipurusha at the Adhyatma level. It is only, remember, it's a kind of upasana. It's an upasana. It is a sambadhyanam. So, this upasana is mentioned in the Chandogya Upanishads. So, very often, if you take literally, it may be interpreted as some kind of an anthropomorphic monotheistic godhead, but actually the implication is it is only the upasya dimension of Jnaya Vastu. What is Jnaya Vastu? Brahman, Nirguna Nirakara Brahman. It can have an upasya dimension, that is this Saguna Sakara Parameshwara or Paramatma. That's why it's mentioned here, Papamabhya Uditaka, Idi Sarva Papma Apagamena Nirvakti. Tadevacha Krida Nirvachanam Nama Akshipurusasya Api Adidishati. So, that is also superimposed on Akshipurusha. So, whatever is stated or implied or mentioned in relation to Aditya Purusha should also be understood in relation to Akshipurusha. That is the idea behind. So, again, Yan Nama, Tan Nama, there's a text idi, that we find in the Chandogya. You can read that, of course, there. Idi sarva papma apagamascha paramatmanaha eva sruyate. So, of course, there is a text you have to keep in mind. Again, it will continue. This text is a very long text. Perhaps for those of you who have not studied, I don't know how many of you have gone through Chandogya Bhashyam. If you don't have the background, you may not fully appreciate now. We can use this as a study material for future reference. That's all. So, ya atma, apakata patma, mean papa rahidam, that's the idea. Papa punya rahidam, that's the idea behind it. Ityado. Tata chakshushi purushi saiva ritsama taduktham tad yajus tad brahma iti riksamadhi atmagadam sarvatmagatvam nirdharayati. So, you have to look at this text here. The text is a fairly long text, but that should be kept in mind. You can find here. It comes later also. In different contexts it comes. But better, those of you who have got the text with you, you can remember. The text begins with the third mantra of the first chapter of the sixth section of Chandogya. That's where it begins. Tasya rik cha sama cha geshnau. Of course, that comes later, but here also the text is important to keep in mind. So, the idea is this. Adityastha Purusha Upasana Phalam is Devakamanam Niyanta. So, Akshipurushaha Manushakamanam Niyanta, etc. This is find here. So, the idea is this. If you practice this Upasana, which are actually two aspects of the same Prayoga in the Sama tradition, Samveda tradition, then you get this result. The result will be mentioned later. That's when Dhana Sanayaha is mentioned here, that comes later. The meaning is this: you will be endowed with a lot of wealth if you meditate, if you do Bhasana on this Devata with the strong conviction that it is Paramatma, with Paramatma Buddhi. Tata chakshushe purushe saiva rig tat sama tat uktham tad yajus tad brahma idi rig sama atmagadam nirdharayati. So, the same Aditya Purusha, it has got this Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharveda. At the Adhidevada dimension, Sama mantra and Rig mantras are like Prithvi, Agni, etc. And Vak, Prana, etc. are Adhyatma level. Which means Aditya Purusha himself is Akshi Purusha. That is Upasana Vidhi. Akshi Purusha's identity with Aditya Purusha. Akshi Purushasya Egatmada. Akshi Purusha's identity with Rig and Sama. Possible only for Parameshwara. Therefore, that Parameshwara is the source of all. It cannot be yogi or samsari. So, Tatacha Chakshushe Purushaka Saiva Rig Tat Sama Tad Uktham. Uktham is a Shastra Vishesha. It is Samaveda chanting method. Ukthani Apragita Mantra Sadhyani Stotrani Cha Bravetana Bruda Kshipram etc. He Rittija Indraya Akam Kshipram Archanam Kurida. It is Sayana's commentary. It's Rigveda Samhita. In other words, what happens is Akshi Purusha's identity with Riks and Sama. It is possible only if Akshi Purusha is the same as Aditya Purusha, which is the source of all. Sarva Karanatvat Sarvatmagattu Papattehi. So that's the argument here. This identity, that is iti rig tat samadhyatmagadam nirdharayati. So the total identity with Chakshushe Purusha, I mean Akshi Purusha, with Rig mantras and Sama mantras. It is possible only if that Upasya Devata is Parameshwara, it is Paramatma. It is not possible when the Upasya Devata is a yogi or samsari, etc. Sacha Parameshwarasya Upapadyate. So, it is possible only for Parameshwara to identify a celestial being with Rig mantras and Sama mantras. You are giving a kind of transcendental divine dimension. That is Adidevada Sarvatma Bhavam. That Adideva is Sarvatma Bhavam. It is all pervading, universal. That can be logically understood only when that Purusha or that Hiranmaya Purusha is Parameshwara himself or Paramatma itself. If that Hiranmaya Purusha is a samsari yogi or divine person, highly elevated jiva, it is not possible to identify that Purusha with Rigveda mantras and Samaveda mantras. Again, Sarva Karanatvad. It's also that Purusha is Sarva Karana, is the source of everything. Therefore, Sarvatmagatva, Sadyukti, that the reason is mentioned, the logical reason is mentioned here. Rig, Yajur, Sama, Vedaja, Brahma Surupa, it is identified with the Akshi Purusha, and also the Akshi Purusha is Aditya Purusha. That repeats again. Prithvi Ajnajatmagi, Chadidevadam, Ruksame, Vak Pranadhyatmagi cha, Adhyatmam Anukramya Aha. Now, for Adidevadam, in the divine context, in the transcendental context, in the Aditya Purusha context, Rig mantras and Sama mantras are the same as like Prithvi, Agni, Vayu, etc. See, Adhidevata, that is the Sarvatma Bhava. That word cannot be easily translated into English in a very satisfactory manner. So, Sarvatma Bhava means being universal, being identified with the entire existence. That is the Adhidevata dimension. At that level, the Adhidevata is identified with Prithvi, Agni, Vayu, Akasha, etc. That's why Prithvi Agnyadhyatmage cha Adhidevatam. That is transcendental level. Riksame, then Vak Pranadhyatmage cha Adhyatmam. And at Adhyatma level, what is it? Vak, Prana, etc. So that should be kept in mind. At the Adhidevata level, transcendental level, Rig mantras, Sama mantras. And then they constitute, they identify the Aditya Purusha. Similarly, at the Adhidevata level, Prithvi, Agni, all these also are identified with the Adhidevata level. Again, at the Adhyatma level, Vak, Prana, because these are Jivas, Jiva dimension, Sharira dimension. Adhyatma means Sharira dimension, Jiva dimension, it's a micro dimension. Vak, Prana, Adhyatmaki, Cha Adhyatmam Anukramyaka, Tasya Rikcha Samacha, Geshnau. Geshnau here means body joints. It's Pada Parvani is called. Sometimes knee is a joining point. So again, it's a description of the same Adhidevata, cosmic divine entity at the Adhyatma level, at the Jiva level. Jiva level means there will be joints, body joints. So it's mentioned here, Tasya Richa Samacha Geshnau Idi Adhidevatam. So that's again, the mantra is this, a long chapter. You can just, this mantra, Tasya Richa Samacha Geshnau Tasmat Udgidas Tasmat Taveda Udgatas Tasya Higata Sayesha Cha Amushmat Paranchu Lokaha Tesham Cheste Devakamanam Cha Idi Adhidevatam. You find this mantra continues like this. So the Upasana Vidhi is mentioned here. So any person who does this Upasana, he is meditating, doing Upasana on this Purusha, which has got a cosmic, divine, transcendental, Adhidevata dimension, where Prithvi, Agni, etc. all these are identified with that Adhidevata dimension. Also Rig mantras, Sama mantras, etc. Again, the same Aditya Purusha at the Adhyatma Jiva Sharira level, it's called, Tasya Adhyatmamabi Yau Amushya Geshnau Tau Geshnau. That statement is to be understood in the context of this mantra. The same divine dimension at the individual level, these Rig mantra, Sama mantra, all these mantras are body joints, Granthi it is called. This continues. Tata Atha Adhyatmam Vageva Rig Prana Sama Tatedasya Vyudam Sama, etc. So I don't want to go to the whole things, but it ends there, little beyond that. It says Kam Te. So the mantra Te Kam Kamam Agayani Idi Hi Yaha Evam Vidwan Sama Gayati Esha Eva Samaganasya Ishte. What it means is, this person who does this Samaganam with this meditation, with his mind focused on the identity between the Aditya Purusha and Akshay Purusha, he becomes well established in whatever he is praying for. That is mentioned here. ya ime veenayam gayanti edam te gayanti tasmate dhana sanayaha, I mentioned here. This mantra comes here in the Chandogya. So that is quoted here. Tadya ime veenayam gayanti. So any spiritual person who does this upasana, meditation, on this identity between the transcendental Adhidevada and Adhyatma level, what happens, Tasmate dhana sanayaha. He becomes well established. He becomes dhanavantaha. He becomes established in riches. He becomes very rich. He becomes fully established in achieving in whatever he wants. Edam here means Paramatmanam, etc. So this samagana done with this meditation, with this concentration, whatever he does with sincerely, then what happens is he becomes dhanasanayaka. Tasmate dhanasanayaka. Dhanasani means dhanavantaha. I mean, he becomes well established in wealth. The idea is mentioned here. You can quote here. The mantra comes here. That the mantra you can listen to later in the Chandogya text itself. So saesha ye cha edasma avanjan lokas tesham cheste manusya kamanam chaidi tadya ime veenayam gayanti edam te gayanti tasmate dhanasanayaka mean dhanalabha yuktaha dhanavantaha. So any person who does this meditation, this upasana, that person gets all that he desires. Now, that is not possible if the upasya is a samsari, as Purvapakshin argued earlier. Purvapakshin said it is samsari. Siddhanti said it is Parameshwara. If you meditate, if you pray to someone, and as a result, you get all your desires fulfilled to such an extent that you have no more desire, then that source of the blessings cannot be a yogi. Because yogi also is a samsari. Yogi has got lot of punyas, but yogi also has got some papas. So yogi has to come back to this world and be born again. So praying to him, doing samagana in praise of a yogi or samsari, you will not become dhanasanayaka. You have to pray to Parameshwara with the full conviction that Parameshwara is Paramatma, the Parameshwara has got Sarvantaratum. With that full conviction, when you pray, you get all you desire. That's why the point is that when you, even at the Saguna Sagara level, when you pray to a deity, a presiding deity of learning, Saraswati for example, when you pray to Saraswati as Saraswati is the supreme reality, then you get learning. But when you pray at that time, you should pray with the full conviction that deity of learning is supreme. If an ordinary jiva wants prosperity, praise to Lakshmi, thinking that Lakshmi, who is the goddess of prosperity, is the supreme, is like Parameshwara, Paramatma. With that conviction, when you do Vasana, you get wealth. Otherwise, you won't get it. So it is the bhava, the mind with which you meditate, with which you upasana, that bring you the result. That's why it mentioned, Yattadya ime veenayam gayanti. Edam. Edam here means Paramatmanam or Parameshwaram. Te gayanti tasmate dhanasaneha. Second component mentioned, Adaya edadevam vidwan sama gayati ubhau sa gayati samunaiva saesha cha amushmat parancho lokas tan chapnodi devakamamsha. Similarly, with the same Paramatma bhava, when you meditate the Udgita Devata and do Samaganam, then what happens is, and you meditate on the identity between the Akshini Purusha and Aditya Purusha, then what happens is, you get all the benefits of supreme celestial enjoyments, that is Loka Kama, Deva Kama. So at the earlier stage, you get all that you need in this world. At the later stage, you get all the celestial enjoyments. Now, the argument is this. This is not possible when you pray to that Hiranmaya Purusha, thinking that Hiranmaya Purusha is a samsari, is a yogi. You cannot get it there. See, if you go to a man who is fairly rich, you may get $100 donation. But if you pray to the Lord of Wealth, you may get maybe billions dollars. It's a matter of whatever you pray for. This idea behind. So again, remember this is Upasana. At the same time, if the same spiritual seeker prays to this Upasya Devata, devoid of Upasyatvam, thinking of that Upasya Devata as a Jnaya Vastu, then you'll get Mukti or Moksha. If you think of the Upasya Devata as a bestower of worldly needs, with the full Sarvatma Bhava, you get all worldly needs fulfilled. If you pray to the same Upasya Devata as Jnaya Vastu, as beyond Upasyatvam, then you get Moksha. That's the idea behind here. And after that there is a statement, Iti laukikeshu api ganeshu aseva giyamanatam darsayati. So, when you pray like that, you become Aishwarya Yukta, when you the Dhanasaneha. Similarly, even laukikeshu api ganeshu aseva giyamanatam darsayati. Even in ordinary worldly things also, you get the result. Tacha parameshwara parigrahe ghatate. This can be logically understood only when you think of that Hiranmaya Purusha as Parameshwara. That is, when you think of that Adidevada with Sarvatma Bhava, then it is Prithvi, Agni, Vayu, Akasha, etc. When you think of Adhyatma Bhava, then it is Vak, Prana, etc. But when you meditate on the identity of one with full conviction, with thinking of the deity as a bestower of some of your desired needs, and then you pray with full Sarvatma Bhava, you get the result. So that's again the Bhashyakara makes a point here. This is logically not understood unless you believe that Upasya is Parameshwara, Paramatma. So this idea behind. So remember, Sarvatma Bhava is very important, that is discussed here. Adidevadam, Prithvi, Agni, Vayu, Akasha, Rig, Sama, etc. Adidevadam. Adhyatmam, Vak, Prana, etc. Akshipurusha. This is the only difference. Now, there is a reference to one important mantra that is in the Bhagavad Gita. Bhashyakara made a statement, the early page, that is Tacha Parameshwara Parigrahe Ghadate. So, this can be logically understood only when you think of that Hiranmaya Purusha as Parameshwara, as Paramatma, not otherwise. That's the idea behind here. Yadyat vibhudima sattum srimad ujidameva tattadeva vagachattum mama tejomsha sambhavam. This is the mantra in the Bhagavad Gita. So, yad vibhudimat sattum. Vibhudi, Pashu Vittadi Vibhuti, Sri Kanti, Urjitatvam Belam, Tadyuktam Sattum Rajadigam, Madam Eva. That is Govindananda's Bhashyaratna Prabha. So wherever you find all these grand qualities and characteristics and auspiciousness, like lot of wealth, of course the language of an earlier era is wealth in terms of Pashuvittadi, money, cows, etc. Iti vibhuti. Sri means kanti, shobha, etc. Urjidatvam, belam, tadyuktam sattam, jajadigam madam eva. All these constitute one aspect, an aspect of the divine. That's the idea behind. So Bhamadi Yukara also mentioned here this dhana saneha. What happens to people who pray to this Paramatma, this deity, thinking of that deity as the bestower of worldly riches. So Bhamadikara says, Dhanavantu vibhudivantaha idi yavad kasma punaha vibhudimattum parameshwara parigrahe ghadade. So you can logically understand that somebody who prays to a divine person and as a result he gets a lot of vibhudis, then the divine person cannot be an ordinary jiva or samsari or yogi. The divine person should be one supreme divine reality, that is Parameshwara himself, Paramatma itself. Ityadaha aha idyat vibhudivasattum iti. Sarvatmagatve abhi vibhudimatvena Parameshwara rupa abhivyakti. So, that Sarvatma, that Parameshwara has got a vibhudimatvam. In other words, if a person meditates, do vasana or praises through Samaganam, praising the Aditya Purusha, then he gets all these results. Therefore, that Aditya Purusha should be Parameshwara himself, not a samsari. That's the argument here. Iti Bhagavad Gita Darshanat. Loka kameshitrudatvam api nirangusham suyamanam parameshwaram gamayati. Therefore, anyone who gets the result of whatever he needs, that could be understood only in the context of Parameshwara. Again, Bhashyakara is referring to some of the arguments of Purvapakshi and answering. Yet uktam Hiranyasmassu ityadi rupasravanam parameshware na upadyate iti. So there is an argument from Purvapakshi. He said that rupavattum, Hiranyasmassu, golden beard, Hiranyakesha, golden hair, all this rupavattum, these external characteristics, this form, it doesn't agree with the idea of the concept of Parameshwara. That is the argument from Purvapakshi. The Bhashyakara has already established that yogi or samsari cannot be the source of these divine blessings, because yogi also is within the jurisdiction of his own karma phalas, is anyathinam. But Parameshwara is ananyathinam, he is not within the control of anything, he is supreme. So Bhashyakara argues iti. Atra Brahmaha, so Bhashyakara's answer, Syad Parameshwarasyapi Ichhavashat Mayamayam Rupam Sadhaganugrahartham. So what about this Rupa? Hiranyasmassu, Hiranyakesha, all these different forms. It is only for Upasana, Sadhaganugrahartham. It is only for helping devotees to do sadhana. Those who are not ready to understand Advaita, they may listen. Often this you can find in our life. People, when you read Advaita text, people get bored. There is no need to be shocked. It means you have to wait for some time. Maybe in this life, maybe next life. Or maybe several life cycles later. When you listen once, and if you it doesn't seem to click. It doesn't seem to be logical. Actually, nobody's fault. When a 5th grade student goes and sees the 6th grade, he won't be able to understand. unless he has scored very high marks on 5th grade examinations. So it means he has to work hard and get a high grade in 5th grade examination. Then he may be able to begin his lessons on the 6th grade. So similarly, those who immediately do not understand the truth of Advaita, when they listen to it, then there is something wrong in it. Shvetaketu took 8 repetitions and one instruction, the 8 repetitions, poor fellow. So that happens to everyone. That's why I mentioned here, Loga Kameshitrutum, Api Nirangusham. Nirangusham means Anya Anadhinam. Nirangusham. So Parameshwara Paramatma is not within the control of anything. He is in control of everything. But a yogi or samsari jiva is within the control of his own karmas, his own prarabdha karmas. That's why he doesn't get moksha. He comes back. Again he begins life once again. So Nirangusham means Anya Anadhinam. Sruyamanam Parameshwaram Gamayati. That's a previous statement. Atra Brahmasyat Parameshwarasyapi Ichchavashat Mayamayam Rupam Sadhagana Grihartham means. So this Rupam, this form, Hiranyasmasrugu, Hiranyagesha, all these external characters, the Rupa, then Maryada, restriction to his own powers. Again, Adhara, Aditya, Akshini, the place that divine person is located. All these are only meant for sadhana. Unless we can form in our mind some kind of a form and some kind of an external characteristics that we can relate logically, strong, grand, beautiful, knowledgeable, all this. We cannot focus our mind on any object. It's an important thing. It is a very, very important thing. You can find in the next adhyarana, there is an interesting discussion, Shilavatya, and Dabhya, 2 Brahmins, and Jaivali, 1 Kshatriya. They are discussing Gita Upasana. And at some point, we'll discuss that in the Akasha Adhikarana, maybe not today, maybe next session. So, at some point, you can find in other text also, you find. Your head will fall off, you find that. Your head will fall off. It doesn't mean that your head will fall off. Actually, the real meaning is you'll go crazy. You can find in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad also you find. This also in Brihadaranyaka, this story. When we try to understand certain things and then we do not follow an established tradition, like for example, when we read an Upanishad text, if you read Yoga Vasishtha or Kodabadagariga and think very bombastic, I made great Advaita, you can be a Buddha tomorrow, you can Brahman tomorrow, half an hour, you can become a Brahmajnani. Well, if the problem is, after some time, our own mind gets completely cluttered and confused. And that also affects attention focus. Such people become internally very restless, you find. Because they are not able to begin anywhere. They don't have an anchor. So, Mudhade Vibhudishyati means your head will fall off. What it means is, if you don't follow an established tradition, you'll get terribly confused. This actually happens to many students of Vedanta. Because they read a book or listen to YouTube. Well, so when you listen, you should make sure that you are listening to somebody who has studied from his teacher. You can disagree with anyone. You can disagree with Vyasa, Buddha, Shankara, anyone you can disagree with. But first of all, you should listen and understand what they are talking about, then disagree. Even if you go to any university to study physics, You have to accept that Einstein was a great physicist. You may disagree with him later when you also become another Einstein, but not before that. So you find here, whenever we try to understand Advaita and when we feel we are not able to fully grasp it, it's not our fault. It only means that we have to work a little harder. We have to wait for maybe a few more life cycles, janmas, to be able to understand. There is no problem. Already no number of life cycles have been wasted. That's why Bhashyakara says, Syat Parameswarasyapi Ichhavashat Mayamayam Rupam Sadhakanugrahartham. So this Rupa, Hiranyasmasru, Hiranyakesha, etc., all these are needed unless the Ubhasya Devada, the Ubhasya dimension has got a form, certain characteristics. You will not be able to meditate or focus on that. Maya Hiesha Maya Sushta Yenmam Pashyasi Narada Sarva Bhuda Gunair Yuktam Maivam Mam Nyadum Arhasi. So here is iti smarana. The smarana means people Puranic literature. Puranas. Smarana could also mean Puranas, Smrutigaras, and Mahabharata. All can be clubbed together in Smriti tradition. So according to our hermeneutics, there's a well-known statement actually, that is Sruti Smriti Purananam Virodho Yatra Dushyate Tatra Saudam Pramanam Syat Tayodvaiti Smriti Dvara. So Sruti Smriti Purana. Here it is Smarana, means Purana or Idihasa. Mahabharata also can be Smriti. Like there's the same status. Vyasa Smriti, Parashara Smriti, and so on. Sruti is the Parama Pramanam, but so long as the Puranas and Smritis do not disagree with Sruti Pramanyam, then they also can be accepted. So when the statement from a Smriti, that means either Vyasa Smriti, Manu Smriti, whatever it is, or from Idihasa, Puranas, Mahabharata, Ramayana, Purana literature, if they do not disagree with the Srutis, with the Vedic statement, the Upanishads, then they can be accepted and upheld, otherwise not. So that's why Maya Hiesha Maya Srishta Yenmam Pashyasi Narada. Lord tells Narada, this Saguna Sagara Sabhisesha, it is my own creation through my own Maya, but he says, Maivam Mam Nyadum Arhasi. Tum Mam Evam Na Nyadum Arhasi. Don't think this is my true nature. So if you are worshipping an image, it is good, it's needed. But don't think God has got the physical features of that particular image, or God is limited to the particular image, its form and name and so on. That's an important point. That's why Lord Krishna says, Maivam Mam Nyadum Arhasi Sarva Bhuda Gunair Yuktam. So this Hiranmaya Purusha has got all these characteristics. Hiranyasmasru, Hiranyakesha, etc. That's fine. But then don't think that is its true nature. The true nature is Ashabdam, Asparsham, Arupam, Avyam, etc. It comes later. That is the real nature. But that Ashabdam, Asparsham, Arupam, Avyam is not Upasya, it is Jnaya Vastu. When we are not able to understand Jnaya Vastu, when we listen to it, then we have to wait for some time, maybe several life cycles, janmas, and do Vasana. It's called Prasankhyanavada in Vedanta. When you listen to the Tamasi Mahavakya, if you don't understand, if you don't experience Aham Brahmasmi, then Prasankhyanavada means your dhyana, abhyasa, rituals, all these are needed. Otherwise, when the moment you listen to the Tamasi Mahavakya, then immediately becomes an experience. That is Sravana Aparokshavada. That is when you So when you listen, immediately Aparokshanubhuti comes. Otherwise, you have to practice Upasana, Prasankhyanam. It is Maranat. Apicha yatra tu nirasta sarva vishesham parameshwaram rupam ubudishyate bhavati tatta shastram ashabdam asparsham arupam avvayam ityadi. So you see, apicha yatra tu nirasta sarva vishesham parameshwaram rupam ubudishyate. This higher truth, higher reality, that Nyaya Vastu, which beyond Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, etc., which is Avveya, that is already mentioned later. Why Ashabdam, Asparsham, Arupam? You can find in many of the great devotional classics, you find first Upasya, Saguna aspect is explained, and then its own Nirguna, Niragara, Nyaya aspect is explained. Or first Nyaya Vastu is explained, then for Upasakas, for Sadhakas, the Upasya dimension also is mentioned. Maybe this is the method in Shastra Grantha. So you can find one of the well-known example, if you remember, I don't know how many of you have read, there is a very famous, one of the greatest and most wonderful devotional classics called Narayaniyam, which is a condensation of the entire Bhagavata Purana. One of the most unique, supreme literary classics belonging to post-Shankara time is this made by Narayana Bhatti's Narayaniyam, which I think Vice President Maharaj, Tattwamayanandaji Maharaj has translated into English from Madras publication. So, it is divided into Dashakas, 10 slokas each. At the very beginning, the Nirguna, Niragara, Nirvishesha, Nyaya Vastu is explained. And then, to the end, the Upasya Vastu is explained. So, Sandrananda Avabodhatmagam Anupamidam Kaladeshavadibhyam Nirmuktam Nityamuktam Nigama Shada Sagastrayana Nirbhasyamanam Aspashtam Drishtamatra. Up to this you find it's all Nyaya Vastu. Kaladeshavadibhyam Nirmuktam Nityamuktam Nigama Shada Sagastrayana Nirbhasyamanam Aspashtam, etc. So that Ashabdam, Asparsham, Arupam, Avvayam, that dimension is the beginning of this great work. Then Tattavad Bhadi Sakshat Guru Pavanapure Hanta Bhagyam Jananam. Last he mentioned that divine reality which is Nyaya Vastu, which is beyond time, space and causation, Kala Desha Vadibhyam. This is actually beyond Maya, transcending Maya, that is the Niragara Brahman. That Nyaya Vastu is now present in this temple, this famous temple, where he sat and wrote this well-known book, Narayaniyam, the first beginning. Now, Aspashtam Drishtamatre Punaruru Purushathatmagam Brahmatattvam, that Brahmatattvam, Tattavad Bhadi, right now, it is manifesting in this temple, famous temple, where he lived and wrote this one. So you can imagine, there is no distinction or difference between the Saguna and Nirguna. People fight, I am a Jnani, I am not a Bhakta, so I won't go to temples. So such people are real candidates for this kind of insanity that I referred to earlier. When you don't study this tradition from a parampara, what happens is this kind of confusion. Is A is right, B is wrong. That's the idea. B is another approach to A. So as a Bhashyakara makes it very clear in his own characteristic language. He says, Apicha yatra tu nirasta sarva vishesham parameshwaram rupam kaladeshavadibhyam nirmuktam, etc. I mentioned in the Narayaniyam. So here Hiranyasmasrahu, etc. That is the Sobadhika Upasya Vastu. And the same Sobadhika Upasya Vastu, it also is explained in its Nirubandhika, Nye Vastu dimension, Ashabdam, Asparsham, Arupam, Avyayam ityadi. Sarva Karanatvattu Vikaradharmaihi api Kaschit Visishtaha. So, Sarva Karanatva, that is Ashabdam, Asparsham, Arupam, Avyayam, etc. That is Sarva Karana. And at the same time, the same Nye Vastu can manifest in terms of qualified by a number of characters. You know, Chit, Achit, Visishta, that is Ramanuja system. So, the same Nirguna, Niragara, Ashabdam, Asparsham, Arupam, etc. Its Visishta dimension is Vishtadvaita. That is Chit, Achit, Visishta. Chit means all the jivas. Achit means the prapancha. That's all. But what is the Sarvakaranam? Sarvakaranattam is only for Ashabdam, Asparsham, Arupam, Avyayam, etc. That's why the Totapuri took Sri Ramakrishna beyond the Saguna dimension, beyond the form of divine matter. Then he reached the Sarvakaranatvam, the Ashabdam, Asparsham, Arupam, Avyayam, etc. That's the idea behind. But that is not in conflict with the Saguna Sakara. Same reality in his transcendental dimension, Nyeya dimension, and his Upasya dimension. That's what Bhashyakara says, Sarvakaranatvattu Vikaradharmaihi api Kaischit Visishtaha Parameshwara Upasitvena Nirtishyade Sarvakarma, Sarvakama, Sarvaganta, Sarvarasa ityadina Tata Hirnyasmasuttvadi Nirdeshopi Bhavishyati. This idea. That means the for Upasana, Rupadhyanam, Alambanam, certain characters, some gunas are all necessary. Otherwise, you cannot do any meditation, Upasana, etc. For that, all this mentioned here. Now, next one. Yadabi Adhara Sravanatna Parameshwara iti. Now, Adhara is location, na Parameshwara iti. Another argument is taken up here. So, Mahima Pradishthasyapi Adhara Visheshopadesha Upasanartha Bhavishyati. So, that Parameshwara Paramatma is so Mahima Pradishtha. But then, Upasanartham, same way. Syat Parameshwarasyapi Ichchavashat Mayamayam Rupam Sadhaganugrhartham. Mentioned earlier. Maya Kesha Maya Srishta Yanmam Pashyasi Narada Sarva Bhuta Gunair Yuktam Maivam Mam Jnadumarhasi. Similarly, here also mentioned should be understood. So Mahima Pradishthasyapi Adhara Visheshopadesha. It is that Ashabdam Asparsham Arupam Avyayam, the Brahman is, it is establishing its own glory, its own real identity. It doesn't need any other Adhara, but still Adhara Visheshopadesha. Still, you know, Aditya, Akshini, etc. mentioned here. For what? Upasanartha. Sarvagatatvad Brahmano Vyamavat Sarvantarattu Papattehi. So, that Brahman is Sarvavyapi, Sarvagatatvad. Still, and so Vyamavat Sarvantarattu Papattehi, Sarvagatattam. Still, it is mentioned like that, Sarvantarattu Papattehi. Aishwarya Maryada Sravanamapi Adhyatma Adhidevata Vibhagapeksham Upasanarthameva. This also, Aishwarya Maryada, we already mentioned this earlier, the earlier discussion. You know, all these characteristics, limitations, all the Rupavattam, Maryada, all these are mentioned, we already mentioned earlier. All these are only meant for Upasanartham. That is Adhyatma Adhidevata Vibhagam Vibhaga Apeksham Upasanartham eva. Tasmat Parameshwara eva Akshayadityayohu Anta Upadishyate. Therefore, who is residing, who is the divine being, divine person, the celestial person, the golden person, who is seated in Aditya and also in Akshi, that is Parameshwara eva. This is the conclusion of this particular sutram. Another sutram is the Bheda Vibhadeshat Cha. It is an Anyaha. That's the idea behind here. The point is, in Shruti also, the Jiva Tattva and Paramatma Tattva are being clearly differentiated. That's the implication of this particular sutra. In Shruti literature also, there is a clear differentiation between Paramatma Tattva, the Parameshwara, the divine entity who is Sarvavyapi, the transcendental, and the Jiva. So Purvakshi's argument is now completely demolished here. Asti cha Adityadi Sarirabhimanibhyo Jivebhyo Anya Ishwaru Antaryami. So that's the idea bit. That is Adityabhimani a Jiva and Chakshurabhimani a Jiva. One thing. So the point is, everything in this world has got two aspects, two dimensions. One is Jiva Bhava, the other is Paramatma Bhava. On the basis of the Antaryami Brahmana, is a very famous Brahmanam in the Brihadaranyaka. So that will be discussed here. It's a very famous part of the Upanishad literature. So the first point to remember is, everything in this world, everyone has got two aspects. Even our own body, the physical, the elements, the Panchabhaudika, and also something within that Panchabhaudika Sharira, which is inside, residing, controlling the Panchabhaudika Sharira, which is distinct and different, but at the same time, it transcends also. It transcends Sharira, but it is sitting within Sharira. So that's why Asti cha Adityadi Sarirabhimanibhyo Jivebhya Anyas Ishvara. There is an Ishvara who is Antaryami, who is within this Aditya Abhimani Jiva and Chaksha Abhimani Jiva. At the Sukshma level, Devata, Adhidevatam. At the Sthula level, Adhyatma. At the Sthula level, Adhyatma, Jiva. At the Sukshma level, Adhidevatam, Devata. For example, when you worship, suppose you keep your book, which you read every day, maybe Chandi or Bhagavad Gita or any book for Parayana, you keep in a dirty place, in a very improper manner. Somebody may tell you, that this is divine book, you should not keep it there. So you are looking at that book not as a piece of papers printed together or bound together, with printed papers and bound together. No. You are attributing to that book some kind of a divine dimension. So, that is the Sushma Adhidevata dimension. At the physical level, Sthula level, it's only a bunch of papers, printed papers, bound together. But you say that the book is Saraswati herself, you may say that. Parents may tell you. So you are attributing some kind of a celestial divine dimension to it. So that idea he mentioned here. Aditya Abhimanibhyo Jivebhya Anya Ishvara Antaryami. There is an Ishvara who is indweller, inner controller. And that is the text comes here, Ya Aditya Tishtan, Aditya Tantaro, Yam Adityo Naveda, Yasya Aditya Shariram, Ya Aditya Mandiro Yamayati, Eshate Atma Andaryami Amritaha. This is the Brihadaranyaka 3rd chapter. It's actually a very, very famous text in the Upanishad literature. You can, I think, perhaps that you can find a number of this. It's a very long chapter, but better look at it. So there's a list of, begin ye Prithiviyam Tishtan, ye Apsu Tishtan, ye Abno Tishtan, ye Andariksha Tishtan, ye Vayo Tishtan, ye Divi Tishtan, ye Aditya Tishtan. Again, Yaha Dikshu Tishtan, is Chandradarage Tishtan, Ya Akasi Tishtan, is Tamasi Tishtan, is Tejasi Tishtan, is Sarveshu Bhudeshu Tishtan, is Prane Tishtan, is Vaji Tishtan, is Chakshushi Tishtan, is Srotre Tishtan, is Manasi Tishtan, is Tuji Tishtan, is Vijnani Tishtan, is Redasi Tishtan. Sort of 21 mantras, one after another. Of which the 7th one in the list, in the particular prakaranam is Yaka Aditya Tishtan Aditya Antaraha Yam Adityo Naveda Yasya Aditya Shariram Ya Adityam Antiro Yamayadi Yeshate Atma Antaryami Amritaha. So who is that Antaryami, that Atma? It is there within, the inner controller, the inner regulator. But, so, for example, Aditya. Aditya doesn't know, but it is within Aditya. It goes beyond Aditya. It is within Aditya, but it is beyond Aditya. But it is controlling Aditya. So, ye Aditya Tishtan, Aditya Tantaraka, yam Adityo Naveda. So, it is beyond the comprehensive power of Aditya. Yasya Aditya Shariram. So, Aditya is only a vehicle for that Atma, Antaryami. Yaha Aditya Mandiro Yamayati. So, sitting within, that Atma controls, regulates, governs Aditya. Yeshate Atma Antaryami Amritaha. The same idea, Prithvi, Apaha, Agni, Antariksha, Vayu, Aditya, Div, and then Dik, Chandradaraga, Agasha, Tamaha, Tejaha, Sarveshu Bhudeshu, Pranaha, Vak, Chakshu, Srotre, Manah, Tug, Vijnanam, etc. All these are mentioned here. So there is one Antaryami, there is Antaryami Brahmanam in the Brihadaranyaka. You have to read it. So Bhashyakara says that is the inner controller. It's within. So Bhashya says it is on earth, Prithvi Tishtan, Prithviyam Tishtan, Prithviyam Tishtan, but different from Prithvi. But he is controlling Prithvi. So in Prithvi there are many things. So that's why it mentioned, it is, the Prithvi doesn't know about it. Prithvi is only a vehicle for it. Aditya is a vehicle for Antaryami. Like that. Yeshate Atma Antaryami Amritaha. Same idea, Ishvaraha Sarvabhudanam Hridesi Arjuna Tishtati Brahmin Sarvabhudani Enta Durani Mayada Gita. So this Sarvatma Bhava and Antaryami, etc. Idi Sutyandare Bheda Vyapateshat. So Aditya is one thing. The Antaryami Atma that controls Aditya, for which Aditya is only vehicle, whom Aditya doesn't know, who is different from Aditya, that is different. So Parameshwara, Paramatma is different. Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hridesya Arjuna Tishtati. So that Ishvara is controlling Arjuna, sitting within, but that Ishvara is different from Arjuna. That's the idea behind. Tatrahi Aditya Andaro Yam Adityo Naveda. Aditya Andaraha Yam Adityo Naveda. It is within Aditya, but Aditya doesn't know it. And again, Idi Vedituhu Aditya Vijnanatmanohu Anya Antaryami Idi Spashtam. So Siddhantin says this Paramatma is Sarvabhava, Sarvatma Bhava. It is Antaryami. That is the Upasya. So who is the Upasya? Not Samsari, Jiva or Yogi or anyone. Hiranyasmasru with all his golden beard and golden hair, nothing of the kind. It is that Paramatma, Sarvatma Bhava, Antaryami, that is Upasya. Then only you get mukti or moksha, because you should do upasana with the full conviction of Paramatma Bhava. That is the Paramatma Tattva. But Purvakshi says, no, Jiva Bhava is the Upasya. Jiva Bhava means that you have to meditate on the long golden beard and golden hair and all those things. No. It is the Antaryami dimension, the Paramatma Tattva dimension, the Sarvatma Bhava dimension, which is the inner controller of that Hiranmaya Purusha. That is Upasya. That is to be meditated upon. Object of Upasana. That's why Aditya Antaraha Yam Aditya Naveda. It is within Aditya, but Aditya doesn't know about it. It is Vedituhu Aditya Vijnanatmanaha Anyaha. So with the Jiva Bhava, someone whom Aditya doesn't know about. Anyaha Antaryami is Spashtam. So very, very clearly mentioned here. So it's clearly stated that Yam Aditya Naveda, it means that Antaryami is different and distinct from Aditya, who is the Vedita, who is Jivatma. And the reason is given here, that this Sa eva ihapi antaraditya purusho bhavidum arhati. Here also it should be taken in that sense. So, that Antaryami is distinct and different from Aditya. Why? Mentioned here, Shruti Samanyat. So, Shruti Vakya should have the same meaning. You cannot have one meaning in one Shruti statement and different meaning in another Shruti statement. So there is a clear distinction, differentiation between Jiva Tattva, that is Yogi or Samsari, and Paramatma Tattva, that is Parameshwara. That's the meaning of this sutram, that is Veda Vyapadeshacha Anyaha. In Sudhi, there is a clear differentiation, distinction clearly implied, indicated between Jiva Tattva and Paramatma Tattva. And the reason is given Sudhi Samanyat. Tasmat Parameshwareva Ika Ubadishyate Idi Siddham. Therefore, here the implication is Parameshwara. So this is the conclusion of this Adhikarana. I don't think there is a time for little Adhikarana next one. If you have got time, we'll discuss a little bit of next Adhikarana. So this is called Agasha Adhikarana. So before we take up Akasha Adhikarana, we should think of the connection, the Sangati it's called. So Vishaya, Samsaya called Vishaya, Purvapaksha, Siddhanta and Sangati. These are the Panjangam Adhikarana, 5 important aspects of Adhikarana. So already we discussed earlier Drishtanta Sangati in the previous section. Here it is called Pratyudaharana Sangati, means a kind of connection due to counter example, connection due to counter example, or counter example connectedness. That's the idea behind here. Connection through counter example, 2 different examples depending on the context. So this, the well-known tradition of starting and Adhikarana is this. First you have to study Sri Bharati Tirtha's Vaiyasika Nyaya Mala, which is the well-known book, traditional way of introducing an Adhikarana. So Akasha Adhikarana is mentioned here. So the sutra is Akasha Tallingat. This means here. So here, what is the meaning of Akasha? Whether it is Akashat Vayu, Vayu Raknya, Tirabhakikshat, that Akasha, or does it have a different meaning like Brahman, a transcendental meaning? The Siddhanti will tell you it is not the Bhudakasha, it is Brahman. Purvapaksha will say it is Bhudakasha. Because it means Vayu, Akashat Vayu, Vayu Raknya, Nirabhaka, etc. So all the elements are emerging from Akasha. But Bhashyam will tell you even Akasha also, Atmana Akasha Sambhudha, etc. Akasha also is coming from another source. Akasha, so Akasha idiho vajakam brahmavatraskam shabdasya tatra rudhatvad vayuadehi sarjanadavi sakasha jagutpatti hetutva saudarudhitaha evagara adhina cha atra brahmaiva akasha shabditam. So this is the, we'll discuss the next class and okay, so Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.